Thank you. You get your own mic.
Hello, hello, hello. I used to do that all the time on BCC Radio. Hello, hello, hello. We are on City Talk Fall River. Facebook's actually messing up right now, which is interesting. So I'm having trouble broadcasting the advertisement that our show is on right now. But it's just me and Nikki today. Derek works late. Sometimes he can't make it in on Fridays.
He needs to catch up on his beauty rest.
Right. And since he has a lot of work to do in that department, I encourage him to get as much sleep as he possibly can.
Right. I agree.
Zing. So I actually, in this busy campaign season, found a little time to go out and see a movie last night. Yeah,
what?
I know. Imagine that.
What movie?
Actually turned out to be very good. I said I want to see a movie at like 9:30, so didn't matter what movie
just
I saw.
Randomly, you just wanted to at 9:30 specifically.
Yeah, I just wanted to do something late. I got out of work at about 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to get out and do something because it's been a strenuous time, not just election time. Actually, election's been a little bit more fun than school and work has been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so. Yeah. So anyway, I went to see this movie called The Intern with Robert De Niro. And actually turned out to be it turned out to be a really, really good movie. So I was kind of happy about it.
Good.
What's up on the phone?
I'm trying to get City Talk up on
trying
Facebook,
to get that link.
So.
Let's see if I can get that link.
See, you thought I wasn't being good.
Well, I always think you're being good.
Trying just to find the link, which I can, but I don't know if it's going to bring us right to
every time somebody's on their phone, I'm always thinking like the worst. Like
I know, but when you're on your computer, you don't realize it's the same thing for us. It gets a little distracting.
Absolutely. Not even gonna lie.
Especially when you're in the middle of a conversation.
And you can't look at me face to face.
Yeah, it drives me crazy.
I understand. I get it. I'm not trying to.
That's why if you notice, most of the time when I'm on the radio, where is my phone? Not in my hands. So like the show will be done and then I'll check Facebook and I'll have a million posts about, well, obviously I'm exaggerating with the million, but a bunch of posts on what we're discussing.
Right.
But because I haven't checked it while I'm on the radio.
All right. Well, I'm
futile conversations.
I got it in there now.
Post it on my page because I'm having an issue.
Sharing with groups. I'll share with groups and then I'll share with friends.
Just tag me.
All right, groups
on Facebook.
True. Right. You want to make sure you make these distinctions. You never know what can happen. You remember that time when I started seeing somebody and everyone thought it was you, right?
Yes, it was hilarious
on Facebook. In a relationship, and then the next thing you know, I'm not gonna say who, but I got text messages. Oh, it's Nikki. I'm like, no.
Well, what's so funny is those same people who at that time might have thought that.
Yeah.
At this point would be like, no, there's no way that, you know what I mean?
Right.
They wouldn't even think about that. So it's funny.
Hilarious.
Not many people knew who Nikki was at that time.
Nope. We are going to take phone calls today. It's going to be 774-955-0533. Feel free to call in. It's going to go straight to our phone line here. I'll go like this. You'll go like that until we figure out something with our mixer. But I think the mixer and taking in phone calls is the last step. I'd like to get a third microphone just so I and all three of us have one.
Right.
But other than that, I listened to the show yesterday and I actually sat through the whole thing while I was like doing other work, and it sounded good. Sound quality is good on the microphone, even when we're far away from the microphone.
Good job for SingStar microphones. No.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. SingStar, right? Isn't that what it is? I don't want to get caught with any advertising issues, but yeah.
Well, I'm sure we could talk about whatever we're using.
Yeah,
which are great microphones. We can describe something and.
Got to give Dell a lot of credit. This all-in-one situation is really, really nice. I can't right now. It's awesome in comparison to what I had.
Right.
I was running this off the laptop for the first 7 shows. So yeah.
That laptop came out of some cave somewhere.
Well, I mean, it works for like school stuff, no problem. But you want to run a podcast, you're gonna need to upgrade your equipment a little bit. But you know what? Thing is, BCC, they shut us down. Whoever out there, whoever that entity was that shut us down. They weren't gonna. It was never gonna.
They didn't shut us down.
Well, they tried to, I should say.
Thank you.
Yeah, they tried to, and whatever happened, I don't even. At this point, the minute it happened, I was kind of like ready for it in the first place. You know what I mean? Like I was ready. I was like, we're gonna do something, regardless. Like it's not just gonna be like, oh, I guess I don't have a show anymore and walk away. That was never an option. I'm very happy that we have it now. I'm very, very happy that we're able to, we know for a fact that City Talk will run for as long as we want it to run. And nobody else is going to stand in the way of that. Even if YouTube, for whatever reason, shuts down.
We're going to get so popular, right? What's going to happen is the show is just going to be on forever. You know, like those, like Regis and Kathy Lee?
Yeah.
It'll be like that where they just change the hosts.
I'll get a football player.
The show will stay there, but the hosts will just change.
I'll get a football player from a football team somewhere.
Nice.
To host for me sometimes. Not Michael Strahan. I like Michael Strahan personally.
The gap in my team.
You do have the Michael Strahan gap going on. But yeah,
I believe I'm older than him, so he would have the same gap as me.
Is he? You know what?
So.
Let me double.
Most people don't realize how old I really am.
You're in your 60s, right?
Yes.
Wow.
61 to be exact.
Goodness. Wow. It's amazing that you have such a sharp mind.
I do.
At 61, because most people think that older ladies are feeble-minded and, you know, are incapable of thinking for themselves, and Chow Mein all of a sudden thinks for you.
Right. We try to tell people the older you are, the better it gets.
But no one really believes that because it's perception.
Right. Nah, just joking.
How old are you?
I'll be 40 next year.
Let me double check Michael Strahan on my handy dandy computer here.
I will be 40. I'm pretty sure I'm older than Michael Strahan.
Oh, I'm not even betting. I'm just checking.
David Letterman also has a gap in his teeth.
Huge. Hey, so
so is mine. I have a pretty big one myself.
I'm probably jumping the gun here and just going straight. He's 43, actually.
Okay, so he is older than me.
I'm jumping the gun. We're already looking for our next co-host, future celebrity co-host for City Talk Forever. So there we are. All right, so we might as well get into some of the stuff we've been talking about. Let's see this. Danielle Roy, what is she saying now?
That troublemaker.
Love Danielle Roy. Just kidding. She's probably like our only listener. Oh, there it is.
What? No.
61.
I knew I was going to get someone with that.
That's awesome. She's right.
That's funny.
She's giving you credit, though. She's like, wow, 61.
Yeah, you look great.
That's awesome. You look amazing. You look like you're about 40 years old.
Even when I tell people that I'm going to be 40, it surprises some people, which surprises me. And I'm like, you wouldn't think that I was 40? Like, I feel like I look like I'm 40, but whatever. I don't know what looking 40 is, really.
Anymore, especially nowadays.
Yeah, people get lifts and all that stuff. You can never tell. But I didn't have anything done. I just usually tell people, like when they say, oh, you look great, you have great skin, I just tell them this is what it looks like when you don't do drugs.
The website Through Open Fall River has a new member who's been particularly very funny. His name is Noah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So he put together a top 10 list that makes WSAR goofy. And I figure since he has no problem posting that in front of 10,500 members on Through Open Fall River, the millions and millions that listen to us can hear this top 10 as well.
Absolutely.
So number 10. That makes WSAR goofy. I feel like I'm David Letterman right now. It's
I was
kind of
just
funny.
thinking that.
Why does Mumbly Joe call thunderstorms boomers? I don't know if that means anything to you.
Thunder boomers. I think once upon a time in life that people, because I have heard a few older people call them thunder boomers, and I'm like, what the hell is a thunder boomer? It's basically lightning and thunder.
WSAR stays on the air despite 86% of all advertisements being from BK's Tavern, home of the dinner for 2 bottle of wine special.
I love that. Yeah.
You hear BK all the time. I think my favorite one is our 8, and what is the other one? Number 4.
Well, I want to read one. Can I read one?
Go for it.
So number 8 is decided it was a good idea to hire a guy who tried to pick up a hooker and a guy who stole $10,000 from the school department to talk about what the city needs to do to move forward. It's
a Sense and Nonsense is a beacon for credibility when you think about those 2 factors right there, don't you think?
They're a beacon for credibility.
I mean, think about it. They've made such mistakes that now we can learn from that.
Oh, okay.
Because it was a mistake that $10,000 was stolen, right? Wasn't it a mistake or a bad decision? It wasn't.
No, it was intentional. I mean, you go back to old articles and it's clear the clear intent, which, you know, I was younger at that time, so I really didn't, you know too much about it until you go back again and you start reading these articles.
How old were you back then?
40, it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah. You were about 48 back then, Daniel? Daniel's keeping track.
A young whippersnapper. No, it was back then when I really wasn't paying too much attention to the things that were going on around us.
I think it's easy for people to just sit on a high horse and judge people from the mountaintop. You know what I mean? I think it can be very self-serving sometimes for that situation to occur. But at the same exact time, I've had good conversations with Wayne Rigo, very, very, very good conversations with Wayne Rigo throughout the last 8 and 9 months that I've started to pay attention to WSAR more frequently. And, you know, it is what it is. You're going to have, I mean, you can open up the vault in my history. You're definitely going to find some things unbecoming as well.
There's a difference though. Like what I want from my media is them telling the truth and not speaking in a biased way. Like, even though I personally can say, don't vote for Sutter, don't vote for Sutter, I'm not telling people to do that.
Right.
I'm giving them the tools to look through the information so they can decide for themselves. So I think that's where I don't like what WSAR and some of their radio personalities, not all, some of, because I think Barry, again, does an excellent job.
Yes, very much.
Is trying to stay the line anyway. Sometimes it can seem either or, but for the most part. But other people on the show, like I've even Mr. Bob Correa the last few days, I feel like he's campaigning again.
It feels like it.
Yeah. So I'm wondering.
He was good. He remained. He let me talk. He didn't involve himself in my half hour as much as he might have did Sean Kadeem or Stephen Long. I hadn't listened to Josh's yet. I heard Josh hit some home runs yesterday, and so I'm gonna be able to sit down over the weekend and listen to it, and you know, give that an opportunity to settle in, because well, maybe we could see the differences. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to listen to Sean Kadeem's or Stephen Long's yet, and I don't know. See, we have people recording ours. I'm not sure if they're recording. When I say ours, I mean like the Facebook guys,
right?
You know what I mean? So that term recaller, I think it's kind of played out a little bit, and for me at least.
I don't think there's one single definition for a recaller.
That's exactly right.
I mean, a recaller could have at the same time been a Sutter supporter. So for
absolutely,
you know, but me as a recall, I'm not a recaller. Right. I'm not a Sutter supporter. So I do think the definition is just a little.
Well, it doesn't fully describe who I am.
I would like for people to call us some residents. Right. We are residents of the city of Fall River, which is why we're speaking up. We're not just recallers.
Yeah, I mean, just wanting accountability or wanting to do the right thing. I mean, there's really not much. I think when you put a label on somebody, you're also putting personality traits to somebody as well. I don't think that if one person like uses recaller in a bad way, oh, those recallers, they don't know what they're doing. Like if they put that on somebody, then they're putting personality traits on people that I don't think applies to every single one. You know what I mean?
We should make a song. Who's a recaller?
Yeah, I mean, I never wore purple shirts. I never did any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I was advocating very much about getting Will Flanagan out of office. You know what I mean? So, I mean, in one category, I was definitely a recall. In the other, I'm not demonstrative as much as other people are. So is that going to factor into what you are labeled? I don't know.
Well, and then you go the other way. It's a recaller does not equal a purple bag.
Right, but a lot of people it does.
It's so many different instances. So and that's part of the media lobbing us all into one category instead of saying the issues at hand.
Absolutely.
They're just making it seem like it's a recall issue.
I've had somebody call me and tell me that they took my signs down and gave them back to me or whatever because I was lumped together with other candidates. And I said, well, clearly, if you're listening to what I'm saying, I'm definitely standing on my own ground, speaking for myself. No one else speaks for me. But at the same time, people are free to do what they want and see things the way they want. So I'm not making an effort to separate myself from anyone. I'm just going forth and doing what I do, and that's it. if people like that, then they'll vote for me, and if they don't like that, then they'll probably vote for someone that's going to perpetuate the same stuff that's going on.
Right. And there's a difference between being personal friends with somebody, and being a candidate with somebody. Like, you all don't have the same vision for the future of Fall River. You might agree in some aspects, but you do disagree in other aspects.
Absolutely.
The difference is, to me, is that you guys will hash it out until it gets fixed. Whereas the people I am seeing in office now, it's, hey, just like, and you can see it in some of the ways that they vote. If, counselor in seat 5 voted the wrong way, they're getting looks from a couple of other seats like, whoa, you weren't supposed to do that. Oh, well, can I take that vote back? Can we change it? No. That's stuff that should be discussed before any kind of vote or anything is passed. So where I don't look at you guys like you're in a category, you're in one group. I look at you like you're new faces coming in into the election.
I want to throw out there too that I call Sense and Nonsense at least 2 times a week. Ever since I've first listened to it, I've been a caller, listener. So we all joke and goof around about some people on WRC on some shows, but I've had productive conversations at the end of the day. I've had productive phone calls and conversations. So I can sit down with Wayne Rigo and talk to him. I don't know Brian Bigelow at all, hardly at all, but I can actually sit and have a civilized conversation with Wayne Rigo with no problem at all. So I just want, we're having a little bit of fun over here as well. Just let people know.
We don't get, we don't get personal. I would never delve into Wayne Rigo's son's life or any kind of that. I think that's a little too far.
That goes far.
Is the money with the school department, that's fair game.
That's fair game.
That's fair game. Same thing with Brian Bigelow. Now, the thing with Brian Bigelow and when he was arrested for the prostitution ring they had going on, that to me, people were upset about because I guess he had made a comment or shared a photo of parents with their children at a sign holding, and he said something about it being child abuse, and I thought that was a little
on the mountaintop.
Like that was just, to me, that's, now you're trying to make it personal, not for nothing. You could go back to photos of the past election since cameras were invented, and at every sign holding there's children. Okay, we all know this. Both sides, every side, no matter what side of the coin you're on, there are children. Now, and for Brian to say anything negative about that was very upsetting to me, because again, I love the whole idea of the voting right. Shouldn't we be teaching our children to get involved? This is what you should do. I mean, or should we teach our kids to go look for a hooker when they need one? Like, that's where I'm confused on that. So.
You said something earlier about you don't want to necessarily bash somebody on a personal level, like a politician. However, you want to lay all the information out there so that they can make an informed decision. I have a really good supporter of my campaign. The first time I met them face to face, and she said to me, I don't like this candidate or this candidate or this candidate. And I said to her, you're entitled to not like certain people. However, I want you to at least talk to them, get an opportunity to talk to them. And if they don't give you that opportunity to talk to you, then you are free to have that perception all you want, because they didn't make the effort to clear their name to you. But talk to that person, get a chance to really see them interact with other people, and make a decision for yourself instead. Because I believe she told me she was kind of influenced by some other people telling her this, that, and the other about other candidates. Since that time, 3 out of the 4 people she told me, she said to me later on, you know what, I'm glad you talked to me about that. And I said to her, I don't want you to vote for them just because I'm telling you to give you a chance to make a good decision. I want you to at least say, hey, you know what, I talked to this person, I found out what they're about, and I'm still not going to vote for them. You know what I mean? One way or the other. But I want you to at least make that small effort. And if every person who voted made that small effort, I think you're going to see less robotic, I'm just going to vote for this guy kind of comments.
That's the one thing I've stressed right from the beginning is, everybody, please just do your own homework. I don't even tell you what to look into. Pick a topic that you're interested in as far as your local government is concerned, and look it up. Google search, go to your state website.
Yes.
Look for the information. That's exactly what I did, because I was trying to prove the quote unquote recall is wrong. Like, I thought everybody was a bunch of crazy lunatics.
I'm going to give Lauren Tanzi, she's one of the co-hosts for Throw Up and Fall Radio on Periscope, give her some credit, because she tried. I mean, she works and she has children and stuff like that, but she tried to get out there almost single-handedly to just help people get registered to vote.
Yep.
There was some other people out there that was working on that as well, but just particularly her, I remember her making a concerted effort during the summertime to try to get that going. It's one of those things that has to be consistent, because people, you see laws get passed all the time. Remember that law that got passed just recently about you have to turn your lights on during the
rain.
In the rain, and then it was going to go against your insurance. I think they ended up like taking that provision out of it, but that law I don't remember voting for that. Did anyone remember voting for that? So when laws get passed like that, there's another one that I think recently just got passed. All the people who smoke the oils in order to like get off of cigarettes, like those little oil.
The electronic cigarettes?
Yeah, those electronic ones. And then there's also like the vapor ones, I guess.
Okay.
You are allowed to test out, like at least take a puff to test out the flavor before you go and buy a whole pack. I guess now the government has involved itself and is charging like $1 tax to anyone who like does that.
No.
You know what? Before I get quoted, this is a conversation I had with somebody. I tried to actually look it up on research just to find out, but I didn't find exactly what I was looking for. I found a lot of advertisements for vaping, obviously. But this person bringing this conversation to me, I was like, get out of here. And they were like, oh yeah. So I said to them, and this is what I'm saying here on the show, it's things like that. It's examples like that make people feel as though their vote doesn't count. You know what I mean? Oh, it doesn't matter who I vote for, because it's not going to matter. And really, they have a point, in my opinion. They do. Vape pens. We got our Daniel Roy text message of the day. Vape pens, I guess is what they're called. I've never gotten involved in cigarette smoking or anything like that. So
unfortunately, I do smoke my cigarettes, but I don't with that vape stuff or the electronic cigarettes. No dice on that.
Well, you're gonna have to. Maybe you should try it out and make an informed decision on that.
Nope,
Nikki.
Nope.
Okay, so you see where you're going with this, right?
I do.
All right.
I know. Yes, I'm choosing to smoke regular cigarettes.
Hypocrisy.
Okay, but here's the thing: hypocrisy. That's only been around for a short period of time.
You don't know the safety of it.
I don't know any of it's bad enough that I smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to go from something that I have done since I was pretty much 19 to
something
I don't. And come on, carrying around that big thing, it's like you got a mocker in your face.
I think it has an old school, like you're from the Hobbit land vibe. You get this big pipe and whatever, and you just you got like this big thing.
Do you remember when we were kids?
Nope.
Okay. And like they would have the cartoon, like Bugs Bunny, just for instance.
Yes.
That he would smoke a pipe.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do.
How horrible. Oh, we had the little bubblegum cigarettes.
She said, I don't use the vapes either. It's actually more natural, less chemicals. So we got smoker talk here.
Okay, but I don't know that though.
No. She's saying that cigarettes have less chemicals.
Is that what you're saying? Because it sounded like it was the other way around.
She said, I don't use the vapes either. She smokes regular cigarettes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is a super bad habit. Let's be real.
Yes.
I mean, you're giving me the death eyes, but at this point, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a drug addict. So we'll be cool with the whole cigarette thing. I'm
going to say this right now. Cigarettes are a drug.
Yes. Okay. But I'm not passed out on the floor and capable of taking care of my children.
I agree.
My child, I should
I'm going to agree with that. You are definitely not passed out on the floor. Dude with the pipe. She said Elmer Fudd. Yeah. Number 7 on this. They banned the late, great Gus Sennison, but let Margaret call 30 times a day to complain about her relatives, agoraphobia, how she has offered a talk show, and why it's the Republicans' fault that Matlock got canceled. Damn you, Republicans. I actually like Matlock. I actually posted on that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Matlock. There wasn't a case that guy couldn't solve, man. It was perfect. Atlanta, Georgia, white suit. Always eating something.
You look like KF, the
Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah, it was awesome. Oh, we got another text from Danielle. No, nicotine is the drug, not the cigarette. All right, everybody. Number 6. It's bad enough that they don't have minorities hosting shows, but didn't they go a little too far when they created a show called Women's Intuition and let a guy named Dr. Mike host it? Yes. Hilarious. Number 5 is brought to you by BK's Tavern. So he did a little advertisement in the middle.
I love it.
That's awesome. DJ.
We don't have to read the rest of that one, do we? The number 7.
No.
And that's given that credit, and I'd rather not.
Number 7, number 6, number 5. You're talking about number 5.
No.
Number 4. Hilarious. Decided a funeral parlor would host the show.
Yes.
How's that for uplifting radio?
Yes.
I laughed.
Yes, I did too, because I'll be honest. The first time I heard that, I was like, "What the what?"
Yeah.
Like, okay. It actually is an okay show for.
It is a good show
for certain things. You know what I mean? Like, as a child of a parent who passed away, so I can say on that level,
right.
it's okay. So
we're laughing at this because it's funny. We're not laughing. I mean, honestly, Edward Costa.
I do give that show a little bit of credit.
Yeah, it's a good show. Edward Costa was on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm only. We're having a good time with this because it's funny as hell.
Because it is hilarious.
If you listen for more than 10 minutes, you know you're going to hear Charlie from Tiverton blame the Bushies for all the snow last winter, and Rick Olivella will agree with them. The fact that
Oh, can I read this one?
Go for it. I was gonna just skip over it. But
okay. The fact that an ex-radio show host was the most entertaining informed host in station history.
That's what makes WSAR goofy.
And then the last but not least is when they refer to the station and hosts as legendary.
Yes, they do.
I will give one person a legendary.
Barry.
Barry, yeah. Absolutely.
Barry, when I got to meet Barry again, I said this yesterday. Every bit as classy as he portrays to be, and humble, and a really nice guy. Super.
As you know, I worked at Dunkin' for a very long time. He was one of my customers. Okay. And we have when you work at a donut shop, you get a lot of customers who believe that they're better than you. I mean, I've had people throw money at me, the whole get me a coffee instead of me. I have, just like that. He was never, ever like that. Always very polite, always very sweet, always normal conversations, would always talk about what was going on in the city as well. So I found that funny once I realized who it was. Because when you work at the show, they're like, yeah, I work at a radio show, but I never really listened to WSAR before. So
I mean, I listened to WSAR more frequently after
I listened during the recall, but not now anymore.
Well, I listened to it when the fireman thing started to happen, when they started like cutting off the Safer Grant was cut off and things like that. Things were starting to happen. I really started to pay attention when I started to read up on what happened with Dominion and things like that. So I was really fully engaged by the time Jason Correa came on and talked about the Gungate thing. Rick Olivera talked to me about in the hallway right before we went into to do the Bob Correa show, how the recall, he said, was dead in the water until WSAR got Jazel on the radio. And I disagreed with him, but he was ready. Rick Olivera is just like, if you disagree, he's going to like try
a
to
squirrel.
But he's going to over talk, talk over you and
of course
talk down. And I kind of was like Rick, like, it's your opinion. Oh no, it's fact. I'm like,
show it to me then.
Well, I was like, Rick, you can't quantify that. You can't quantify it. Well, you can quantify. I'm like, Rick, you can't. Like, there's so many factors that are involved in this that for one person or one entity to act like they were the reason, to me, it's more about ego than it is about actual,
And it's
fact.
funny that he says that. For him to say that, it also is very telling to me, because here we always talk about how WSAR is one-sided most of the time. They're very biased.
Right.
So when they're very biased, and then in another Rick Olivera can say they had influence on that. What does that tell you? Do they believe that they really have that much influence? And is that why they are biased? It's
the quality that you develop when you're the only game in town for radio media.
And you were the only game in town.
But it's to me, it's like if you don't have, this is a perfect example of what happens when you don't have competition. When you don't have competition, you believe that you're the standard. when really anything you do is the standard because you don't have anything to compare it to. So if they have a biased media station, which in my opinion primarily they do, then that's the standard. Biased reporting.
Yep.
Or opinionated radio, or where you have somebody, if Rick Oliveira says the recalls are negative, then hey, guess what? There's nobody else that's going to counteract that. There's no other radio show. There's no other radio host. There's nothing else out there that's going to say, hey, Trot Lee recalled Mayor Flanagan, and he's not a negative individual. You know what I mean?
Or even if somebody calls in,
right,
and they have the other side of it, they're easily hung up on.
Absolutely.
Or they're mysteriously not taking phone calls for a particular person.
Absolutely.
Or they try to swing what you're saying, because I've been a caller and I've had them try to swap what I'm saying so that it sounds like I'm saying something else.
Right.
However, I was smart enough to realize what they were doing, and I brought it right back.
Yes. Yeah.
So I do notice those little tricks they do.
I struggled.
Sneaky little suckers.
I struggled getting my message across to him that when back in December, when there was a tiff between Jordan and a woman on the floor of the city council. She was like waving to Jordan while he was recording the city council meeting, and then they had an interaction, and then she tried to put him on the spot, and then the next 2 days on WSAR, it was just bash. And I called in, that was the very first call of that day before the whole bashing started, and I said to them, hey, I didn't think that the interaction was appropriate, but I need you to understand that it was a two-way interaction. It wasn't just one side. It wasn't like Jordan was talking over everybody and being disruptive. This woman was egging him on, waving to him. There's video about it. I didn't even get those sentences out. He was already yelling, calling me stupid, and hanging up the phone on me. So when you have that, when you have a radio station that is doing that, and that's your only game in town at that point in time, you have to combat that.
It shows
you have to revolt against
the age level too, or the maturity level, I should say, for him to call someone stupid. You're so stupid. What are we, on a playground?
Right.
Aren't people entitled to their own opinions?
Absolutely. Well, especially if you have fact on your side.
Right.
I actually told him there was video of it. So how am I stupid for pointing out that there's a video? They don't want to hear that, though.
They don't want to hear that.
Of course not. So,
but that's all right. So anyway, Noah, that list was fantastic.
Absolutely. And talking about WSAR in general, they still have potential to do good things in the city, but I don't know if it's ever going to go down that road. I mean, they have done some good things. I mean, if there's ever an emergency in this area, that's the radio station you want to have on. It's the only one you can have on for the local area.
Depends on what the emergency is. If it's a weather emergency, you can go to the National Weather Service.
I mean, but talking about what's going on in Fall River, if there's shelters or things like that, or if other places are open up for people and things like that, you do have that opportunity on that local radio station to go there. Fortunately for us, we have a lot of interaction on social media. You know what I mean? But if our electricity goes down and the only thing working is our AM radio, then again, that's where we're at. And so again, a lot of potential to do really great things. They're okay.
If my electricity goes off, I'm still going to go on my phone. I'll use data. I'll go on YouTube and I'll listen to City Talk.
Well, what's good is that I run this out of my house now, right? So if ever I needed to do something, big and
like breaking news,
I could actually run this off of YouTube anytime I want if I'm home. So.
And I can join in even from my house.
I watch all the hoodlums and thugs going to try and knock on my window and take my computer away. That's what I'm saying.
You don't want to tell anybody where the studio is.
Bring it.
Need to get a green screen.
I welcome everybody to come up here and try to steal my stuff. I welcome it. Come on over.
Bang, bang, into the
room. There you go. So someone says to me, Bob needs to go. He's boring with 15 G's after the word boring. I can sit there for I can't even sit there for more than 5 minutes without wanting to sleep. Not even trying to be mean. Haha, Nikki, yes, sir.
True story. I was in 5th grade, Laurel Lake Elementary School, and we went on our 5th grade class field trip. And you know where we went?
Where?
We went to Boston to the Capitol, to the State House.
Very nice.
And you know who I met in that State House when I was in 5th grade?
Bob Correa.
Bob Correa.
Nice.
Took a picture. He had hair back then, brown hair, very nice man. But to say that he's still in office after all these years, that was like 30 years ago.
Yes.
Well, he's technically not in office, but
yes.
See how I did just make that Freudian mistake, right? Now, the other day, somebody called into the show and had a complaint about something, but that's where I said I got the feeling that he's running again. I almost feel like that's what he's doing. That was interesting.
Yep.
He said, well, it was about the street light. There was a street light, I believe, on Bedford or Pleasant Street, and it's always on. The gentleman who called in said it's 10 a.m. and this light is still on. We've been complaining about it for 3 years. Nobody has ever done anything.
Right.
So he actually asked, well, where is the address? Let me go check that out. I'll go by there and I'll check it out. And that said volumes to me. How is it that people are calling a radio station to speak to radio hosts about getting city work done?
Absolutely.
That was a little odd to me. Like
he said, I did this radio show because I want to have more influence.
Yeah. Like it was just odd the way the whole thing went. Like, give me the address or not. The proper information would have been, here's the phone number to call them and explain it to them.
Right.
Then if they don't call back, but like this whole idea of needing to call a radio station to get things in the city done that should be done automatically is insane.
I got a text message on my phone. Someone said to me that there might be another school shooting. So there was a school shooting in Oregon, but I think that someone said there might be another one. So
let's go check out the news. Let's go right over to the news.
I'm going to check out Twitter myself.
We need like a breaking news thing.
We need a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah.
When we get the mixer going and I'll be able to put together carts and the whole 9 yards.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yesterday we had a good conversation about some of the things we were doing in city as far as the crusade against Uber, which I thought was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
They want to regulate Uber in Fall River. They want to control it. They want to hold it down. $50 billion corporation, right?
You know what I want everybody to do? What? When you see a sitting city councilor, ask them what Uber is. Right. Just do that for me.
Well, there's only one of them that's going to know.
That's not the point, though. Here they are talking about it, discussing it, and are probably going to pass ordinances regarding it.
Right.
Ask them specifically what Uber is and what they do.
Yep. Well, I think it's a political ploy, in my opinion.
I don't think it's political. I think the taxi drivers are probably losing some money.
Yeah.
And they're probably calling their friends saying, hey, you know, there's a couple of people in this city, that they're driving people everywhere for money and we're losing business. How much do you want to bet?
I feel as though it's also because it's foreign to a certain population of people in the city that the city councilor themselves can take that position of, oh, what's all this new stuff going on around here? And then the voter, that voter population can say, yeah, what is all, you know what? I agree with that person.
I don't even think it's going to get that far. I think it's literally going to be about taxi drivers, just taxi drivers in general, taxi drivers versus anybody else trying to drive people around for money.
Okay. So my friend was referring to the Oregon shooting yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So we have the first thing that nowadays when you have a gun incident or a shooting incident on that grand scale, what's going to end up happening is your president's going to have to say something about it. Depending on what party that president belongs to, they're going to say something, and then the other party is going to respond with, hey, he's trying to change this amendment. And then next thing you know, they're arguing and they're fighting over gun laws rather than actually just saying this is a horrible incident, hearts out to the people out there and the families that have suffering through all this. And it becomes a politicized discussion very easily for or against gun control. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, I think as far as we go, or as far as I go, I would say hearts out to the people that have gone through this not just in Oregon, but you got, Connecticut, Colorado, Oklahoma, so many different places.
I would say the whole country, because the fear also gets to people.
Yeah, it's scary. And politicizing it is not really, I'm not very interested in politicizing these incidences at all, to be honest with you. It's a problem that I think, I don't even know if you can solve that problem, because you have to look at it from every angle: mental health, society, the intricate details of what that person was going through or what those people were going through at that time. That might not be universal to every situation. So, why in Massachusetts would I act like I'm some kind of authority on what's going on in Oregon?
Right.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know a single person or a single element that was involved in that. So for me to just quickly jump to gun laws are the problem, or even mental health is the problem, it's like we want to probably hold off on passing judgment on everything until we know exactly what happened. And even at that point, we still don't understand what anybody's going through.
Well, the gun laws don't do anything but keep guns out of the good people's hands who want them. Right. If a bad guy wants a gun to go kill someone, they're going to get a gun to go kill someone.
Right.
So I just, somebody who wants it for hunting or recreational purposes will go through all the process.
Right.
So it's just more red tape for the people who are going to do it the right way to go through it. I mean, I don't own a gun. I don't really have. The only opinion I have on it is I've never shot a gun, but I'm not against other people who do.
Right.
So it's not. It doesn't affect me either way. So I kind of don't take a stance where gun control is concerned, because I don't know enough about it.
Right.
I wouldn't want to take away somebody else's right to have a gun just because I don't want to hold a gun.
Your Second Amendment, right to bear arms. Second Amendment?
I don't know.
Fourth. I'm going to look it up.
I wouldn't have taken a guess, though.
Why? I guess all the time. We're talking about.
Got the amendments wrong.
Yeah, then it's like .com.
How dare he? He wants to run for office and he doesn't even know which amendment is which.
You know why I do that?
No.
I enjoy it.
You enjoy what?
I enjoy making people think that I don't know anything. Like Bob Corinne, free cash. That was fun. I said, yeah, we got the free cash thing. He's like, do you know what free cash is? I said, Bob,
do you know?
I was like, Bob, what do you mean? What are you talking about? He's like, well, you can't just. I said, oh, well, what about a mechanism? How about a mechanism that 2 months? He's like, it was 2 months later after the budget was passed that the free cash came out. I said, all right, so how about if we have a mechanism that when you do have a free cash surplus, it's going to automatically go to the shortfall? Well, what?
No, it's because then they can't bring out all their loan orders at the end of the year and say, we need this money. Notice how many loan orders are coming forth right now. That's for a reason.
But the Second Amendment, no, let's all jokes aside. The Second Amendment, who's this?
I don't know.
It's Adam. Hello. How are you? Doing well. All right. Now, the Second Amendment, I'm going to just talk about this.
Second Amendment.
I know. But the Second Amendment that we go through.
You're making noises, yeah.
It's because of the plug.
Oh, okay.
Second Amendment law that we talk about, it's to be able to form a militia in the event that your government loses their minds, right? And starts to, impose itself upon you with force. Now, here's the funny thing. The weaponry in the 1776 era was a musket, and it wasn't anything to do with nuclear weapons, assault rifles, and all this kind of stuff. Now, if we apply the Second Amendment from 1776, and we'll adjust for inflation here, and now we're in 2015 where the weaponry that the military has is on another level, do we have an obligation as citizens to be able to keep up with that weaponry in order to defend that Second Amendment?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
We wouldn't stand a chance. I mean, that's like saying, we better keep the squirt guns around in case the house catches on fire. I mean, it's great in theory back then. Now we wouldn't stand a chance.
I didn't get that water gun theory. I'm not gonna lie to you, buddy. But I will say that how then can the citizens of the United States form a militia against a tyrant style of government where they're using force to try to take you over.
Well, they can't. That's why I'm using the water gun analogy. I mean, people are fighting for the principle of the thing, but it's not really, theoretically, it just wouldn't happen. How would we defend ourselves against the government?
Well, again, that's the whole point, right? Like when the playing ground was even and you could get a musket and the government had muskets and it was even, the Second Amendment was more applicable. So are you saying that the Second Amendment is obsolete because the government is too strong now?
That's, yes, pretty much. In addition to that, what are arms?
Weapons.
Right, but I mean, can I have a grenade launcher? Can I have, bombs, plutonium grade?
Well, according to that Second Amendment, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, but in that Second Amendment, the citizens have a right to defend themselves against the government. So if the government has weaponry, advanced weaponry, then according to the Second Amendment, so should the people have that capability to defend themselves with.
Absolutely, and that's why it's non-specific. It just says arms. It doesn't say what arms. Is it a pistol? Is it a machine gun? Is it a bomb? So that's there and where the problem lies.
So to take that amendment away, or to even modify it to where the citizens are at a disadvantage in the case of any type of government takeover, I think the Second Amendment at least tries to protect people. And, we should have the opportunity to protect ourselves best we can. And if we're going to follow the Second Amendment to a T, we should have the opportunity to form a militia to defend ourselves as well. And if we're defending ourselves, like you said, with water guns and bows and arrows, then we're in trouble. So again, does the obligation now become, are we able to have more or should we have less? Because now you have these incidences that try to go against it, that try to combat, with the lack of a better term, the idea of the Second Amendment and everyone's right to have to bear arms.
Well, if that's what everyone's yelling about, how about if we do this? How about if we remove the Second Amendment and then we put in a new amendment that says that the government can't be tyrannous and they can't take its citizens over? How about that for an amendment?
So you want an amendment that the government can't do. So you want the amendment to emphasize decreasing the power of the government rather than increasing the power of the citizen, correct?
Correct.
I mean, to me, that would work, but now they have national defense on their side to say, well, if we decrease our government's strength, then, Russia, China, blah, 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 could come after us and we'll be defenseless against that. What say you?
Well, I say it's kind of like, I look at it as almost like a contract, like, a union would have. They give up the right to strike or the right to this and that. Like I said, how about the government just gives up the right to be able to act violently toward its own citizens? Therefore, we would need to bear arms to defend ourselves against our own government.
I mean, that's a good theory, but they have the power to do it. So it's easy for them to say, hey, we won't, we're going to have a law that tells us we won't exercise our own power. Like, that's like investigating yourself and finding yourself not guilty, right?
Well, like I said, it's all in theory. So if the government is going to do whatever they want to do to us, I'd like to see it in writing, because the way the Second Amendment is written now for today's times, it's completely obsolete.
Right. So
it is gun crazy nuts thing to point at and say, you're not going to take my guns away.
Right. And agreed that, there's been people out there that have used that amendment, hid behind that amendment to, for their own self purpose. And it goes against the idea of forming a militia, again, to defend against a tyrannical government. But that Second Amendment at least implies, or it at least reminds us that the deck is already stacked against the citizen to begin with. Bottom line, the deck is already stacked against the citizen. And so it stands as a beacon to at least allow somebody to defend themselves, at least on that very small human level. I don't ever want to take that away. I don't think it's helpful to take that away. So. Well, and Adam, you can have the last word, by the way.
I will, and then I'm going to go. For instance, if the government were to outlaw guns tomorrow, and then they started to come into our homes, and we turned into a Nazi Germany, wouldn't all bets be off anyway, and we defend ourselves without guns? I mean, whatever guns people had stashed away.
I mean, we'd have to cross that bridge when we get there, and hopefully we don't have to ever go down that road. But at least we have a document, and we have written law that allows us to defend ourselves, which fundamentally I believe is something that's necessary in the Constitution.
You're nuts, but I think that all laws and bets are out the window if the government starts coming into my home anyway. Laws on the books, laws not on the books. It's all a piece of paper when push comes to shove.
All right.
Great show again, guys, and I'll be listening.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
I'm gonna be defending myself with samurai swords and nunchucks. I'm gonna make sure that my nunchuck ability is so on such a high level that I'll be able to block bullets from hitting me the same way that Michelangelo did as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. That's my plan of defense. What's yours, Nikki?
I have nails like Wolverine.
Nice.
So I'll just pop them suckers out.
From what I understand, if you crisscross your adamantium nails, all of a sudden bullets cannot even penetrate that at all.
That's what I'm saying. See?
And it makes it shine even
And then
brighter.
I know how to do some back bends like Matrix style.
Yes. No, bottom line is that tug of war. Yeah, go ahead.
But we would defend ourselves.
Right.
I've always said that wholeheartedly. Right. No doubt, if anybody tried to come in and take things over, we would hammers, nails, whatever I could. Right. I would be, yeah.
Now you that conversation with Adam is just a small microcosm. We speak on a more civilized, not hating each other, yelling at each other, calling each other name level than what the Republicans and the Democrats do. Yeah, exactly. But Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Libertarians, they all seem to want to bang each other over the head and one up each other, and you're not gonna come to conclusions on this discussion anyway, because so many people have so many different points of view and opinions on it. But the bottom line is, what's more productive? Calling everybody names, calling everybody this, that, and the other, or at least trying to find some level of common ground? I don't know.
That'll never happen.
I know. I hear you.
It won't. Go back in time to as far as there's been human history. There has always been war. There always been fighting.
Yep.
There's always ego. I mean, we see it in the animal world. You see two lions fighting for their territory. It's just the way it happens.
It's nature.
I can't see any lions going hand in hand singing Kumbaya or
no.
Yeah,
I
know we say human beings are smarter and they're more civilized. But ultimately, we're still animals.
Human beings have not particularly been civilized when it comes to territory. In history,
we think nothing of going into somebody else's territory and taking it over and over and over again.
We're civilized when we can feed our egos, right? We're civilized when it makes us look good. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to property and territory, human history hasn't shown a lot of civilized.
Well, of course you have to protect your own. Isn't that what we're taught, is to protect your family, protect your own? There's a difference in protecting. Were the white settlers protecting their own when they overrode all the Native Americans in America? Obviously not. We all know I'm the biggest supporter of that. Right. Because one of the things that I chuckle at most is when I hear somebody, like with the last name, we'll just use Medeiros because it's fine. With the last name Medeiros, it says, all you non-Americans go home. Right. I put my hands over my face and I shake my head and I say, really? Or when they say, everybody should pledge allegiance to the flag. But in the same breath, they say, these people from other countries, they're willing to die for their country. You want everybody here to be willing to die for your country.
Pretty much.
They are too. It's just a matter of everybody is protecting their own. Like, come on now.
yeah, when it comes to territory in America, and it comes to like we're looking at like throughout history, territory and property and things like that. Even right now with the conversation of immigration and this one, you know, you need to learn this language, or if you want to live here, you gotta, you know, do this. Even when it comes to the welfare conversation, oh man, we talked about it yesterday with the public housing.
That fires me right up.
Every time you talk about property or money, that's when discussions start to become a little less civilized. People start to get a little bit more, I'm doing like a little shoulder move where they grab what they want and they turn away like, no, this is mine. You know what I mean? And that to me illustrates that what you were talking about, that human nature, or not just human nature, but nature and instinct in general. When it comes to territory, everybody starts to get just a little bit more, you know, aggressive for their own, you know. That's maybe that's the behind what racism is all about, you know, that at the end of the day, that territory.
It is. You're going to do for your family, and you're going to protect your family before you protect the next family.
Again, you use protect, but I think that there's more an aggressive nature to not just protect, but to say, hey, I can take that too.
Well, it depends, because I'm going to tell you, here we go. If we're both starving and there's food over there and I have to feed my family, I'm going to get that food by any means necessary. And if I'm not stronger than you, I might be smarter than you.
That Manifest Destiny was one of the documents that really catapulted the move from east to west with the settlers, and really was like the beginning of the end for anybody that wanted to settle out west. That was, you know, from an Indian or Native American or even Mexican.
Just the United States, or are you talking like coming to the west from the east?
I'm talking the United States right now, but yeah, I see where you're going on a bigger, broader scale.
You know, like the Earth is so old. So for us to, like, you know, how much history do we really know? We only know very little history or very little of Earth's history. So it's hard for me to say this is how things should be, or this is the way it's supposed to be. Like, you go back in time, we're still doing the same thing. We just have a little bit more when we're doing it.
Right.
Like, I can't say that the Native Americans were the first people on these lands. How the hell do I know that? I don't know that.
There's all kinds of evidence that there might have been
old, man.
Yeah, there might have been evidence that that the Vikings were here before the Native Americans. That's crazy, right?
Isn't it crazy? Yeah, I can't even think about it, because it freaks me out just to think that there were dinosaurs roaming this roaming this earth, and now they're no longer here. Like, that's just freaky for me to think about.
And if one just happens to pop up out of the Pacific Ocean.
Dude, and like that could happen.
Yeah.
Way deep in the depths of the ocean. Listen.
And then like a large monkey coming out of nowhere. And
what? Monkey.
What?
You talking like
King Kong? King Kong? What? We're just having a discussion, Nikki. Come on, let's get it together.
I know, but we were talking serious, and then you went all King Kong.
I brought Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to the table.
Thought you were cracking a joke about there being some big thing in the ocean, but then did it dawn on you that there really are already big creatures in the ocean?
It's true.
Huge creatures in the ocean. True. You ever see a whale in person? Huge.
Yeah.
I went to SeaWorld. I almost died. I thought it was crazy.
Free Willy.
Yes, I really want, and I would love to go down there and Free Willy. Adam would probably go with me and free Tillicum.
Just letting you know, Nikki Medeiros just got done saying, I'd love to go down there and Free Willy. That sentence taken out of context could be a really big problem.
Luckily, we're not really taking that out of context.
Fortunately for me, I have the intellectual ability to keep things in context.
Although you are the one who mentioned it.
Hey, somebody said we're drifting right now.
Yay, we like drifting.
Hey, every once in a while we have to do this, kind of get ourselves back in order. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about the last city council meeting?
I haven't caught up yet. My daughter is moving, so
yeah,
I've been kind of a little busy. I've got a few family members that are moving, actually, so I've been a little on the busy side.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing started with Oregon, and my friend Adam asking me about, my opinions on it. I think that whatever happened in that storyline, I mean, we're going to get pieces of information from everybody. Did they talk about
that at the city council meeting?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
No, I'm just saying where we kind of fell off our track.
Off the wagon?
Yeah, it was
off the Oregon Trail.
Off the Oregon Trail.
That, huh? History.
Where we ended up going into this about gun laws. I don't think we should be looking to take, gun laws away from people. Not really helpful, in my opinion. Doesn't help. I mean, Australia did it, but Australia has a different history and a different whole set of way that they govern themselves. It's a different country altogether. I don't think that what applies in Australia could absolutely apply in the United States. Just like, universal healthcare might work in some countries, doesn't exactly seem to be working in the United States on some level. So, do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
You're still in.
No, you're talking about Australia. So, like, the thing about Australia that freaks me out is there's kangaroos everywhere.
It's a different
like
country.
Stray cats. So, like, if I were to just walk down the street and there were 50,000 kangaroos, it'd freak me out.
So, somebody asked a question. What is up with the state and IRS wanting monthly reports on our trash revenue and expenses?
That's the first I'm hearing about that.
I'd like to know more about this myself.
Damn me and my busy life.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
That's interesting all in itself. Well, wouldn't you like that? You probably would like that, wouldn't you?
I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm just discussing. That was just a question.
Just reading this sentence real quick. State and IRS wanting monthly reports on our trash revenue and expenses.
I can tell you, I've been saying for a long time that there are some funky things going on with our trash.
The first thing that pops in my head when I hear the word IRS and all that is audit.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been saying for a long time there's something funky going on with our trash. Have I not? It's not as cut and dry. Like I've said, they're not talking about how much our residential trash alone costs. There's other things. There's rules to setting up a sanitation enterprise fund, which we all know the last 8 years they have not. So, by law, they're only allowed to do things a certain way when it comes to the sanitation enterprise fund. Right. If those things hadn't been done, it is very likely that an audit would take place. I'm honestly surprised that the state hadn't come in already for all of the many things that are going on with our budget, paperwork not being done properly, all the foolish spending, the windows, it's a whole bunch of dots that should be connected and somebody should be investigating. But maybe that's because the FBI came in. It was Barry Richards who said he heard that it was the FBI who was investigating the windows and everything else.
Yeah,
but remember I said it's all the connect the dots. People say they're tired of trash, but it ties into other things.
Mm-hmm. Almost.
So you know what I mean? Like it ties into other departments. And then what money shouldn't they be budgeting that money? And if they're not, then what is it going to?
You know what I'm thinking? They might be testing the legality of the $10 per unit fee.
What have I been saying?
Yeah. It's possible. I would love to see that.
No matter which way they try to claim its legality.
Right.
There is something saying it's not legal.
Right.
I've proven that. I mean, I still can. You give me your reasons for it being legal and I'll show you all mine for it being illegal.
Right. She's like, she said, Nikki is slacking. I think this is funny. Yeah. Someone must be calling, writing, reporting, and now they want to know what's going on. Hopefully this is a good thing. And Barry Richards was talking about it this morning. I didn't listen to Barry Richards this morning. So, but yeah, I mean, as I went to the Herald News to look for it, I got a handful of other articles popping up.
There are several agencies who have been notified about things that are going on in the city as far as trash is concerned.
Well, here's the thing. If somebody made a complaint, so let's say just a regular common citizen made a complaint and to the state or to the IRS and just said, hey, there's something screwy going on down in Fall River. If the word forensic audit is now part of regular conversation like it's been over the past 8 months, sooner or later, hopefully someone from that area in the IRS is gonna actually turn over and say, hey, what is going on over there?
Let's not forget there was buzz that trash companies themselves were looking into some kind of a lawsuit. Let's not forget, as far as the grant goes, okay, the grant was for X amount of people being a part of the Pay As You Throw program.
Right.
Maybe we're not going into those numbers that they need to keep the grant going. There are many different facets to this program, okay?
That grant is actually brilliant because that was a $250,000.
$200,000 grant.
I'm sorry, $200,000 grant. IRS could be saying, wait, we just wasted $200,000 to go make sure that compliance is up, and then they hear that they only got 18%.
And now they're tacking on a tax fee. which I don't believe. If you go and you look, like I've said a million times, this trash thing is so big. It really is super big. Okay. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to do things a certain way in order to receive that grant money. The state of Massachusetts has several different grant programs for different kinds of trash things that each municipality can try. My guess is Fall River may be trying to collect on more than one at a time. And it's bumping heads. Well, how can you do this program?
It's got to be sending off red lights, at least, or red flags, I should say. It has to be. Like, they have to be frustrated too and saying, hey, haven't they solved that problem down there?
I just think there's a lot that we don't know. I know what I know. I can imagine what we don't know.
I think they should talk to Linda Pereira, and Linda Pereira can say to the IRS, I'm tired of talking about trash. Right. I think that would probably solve the problem. What do you think?
I think if the IRS is involved, it's got a lot to do with the whole Sanitation Enterprise Fund. If you recall, I've been screaming about the Sanitation Enterprise Fund and how things aren't being done legally. That, to me, would be the reason for the IRS to come into play, would be because the issues with the Sanitation Enterprise Fund, such as a Sanitation Enterprise Fund cannot charge another department because it's not its own entity.
Right.
Okay. We all know they're doing that.
Yes.
So I like I said, there's a bunch of different ways this could come forward.
So I'm hoping that whatever report Barry Richard had, that's a big one, huh? I'm hoping that whatever report that Barry Richard had, I want to see some of this. I want to see the layers peeled off on this, not just on sanitation, honestly, on everything. I mean, I'm one of those people that support a forensic audit.
Sanitation's a cover, though. I don't think we really need a forensic audit. I think we just need people to go through every single department budget. If we have the right,
that's what a forensic audit would do too, though.
But here's the thing: when you say forensic audit, that's millions of dollars.
You know what? I was just in a conversation with somebody 2 days ago who is involved in some things in the government. I don't want to go too far into that. He had a long conversation with me, and he said to me, the forensic audit is only going to be as expensive as it needs to be.
Right.
So it doesn't, they at the city council meetings over and over again keep on throwing this number out that it's going to cost the city this much money,
because I believe it will.
I think it might too, but the way he was saying is it could end up being $400,000 for all we know. It doesn't necessarily have to be 1 million or 2 million or anything like that.
I believe our finances and our paperwork is so bad
that it could make that
it would be necessary for us to have to spend million. I mean, whether it's over $1 million, whether it's 2 million, whatever it is, to that.
My friend Angie, our friend Angie, said, I found something out before Nikki. Oh my God.
I know. Funny. Damn me for being busy this week.
Oh goodness. I personally, like, there's information everywhere. I tell people that all the time. I said, Nikki has consolidated a lot of this information together so we can all read it and listen to it. But she didn't.
I didn't make the information.
Right. It didn't materialize out of nowhere. It's out there. Right. And I wish that people did show the same effort that Nikki has in finding it. That's in my opinion. I think that she's a model citizen, literally. I know that term gets used a lot, but a model citizen, literally, by the literal sense that she's modeling exactly what we could and should be doing. I don't think she has an obsession, guys. So just remember that.
Yeah.
So it goes to a different level with her particularly, but when it comes to sanitation, but there's also, when it
comes to our government stealing residents' money, it's not sanitation.
It's our no, but you told me personally, I love trash and all that.
It's because of what it's led to. Trash is just happening to be the one thing that I notice our elected officials are using to steamroll the rest of us.
And my problem, my problem here is that I don't have an obsession with purple bags or this, that, and the other. Again, it's more about the treatment of the people, and their money. Now, we've heard WSAR people say, oh, this is chump change. You guys are worried about chump change, but it's not really about the money all the way. It's the principle. Like, if they're able to get away with this, then they're going to get away with other things too.
Yes.
And we can't do that. We simply can't keep on doing that. And we do it all the time. You know, this conversation is talk about, oh, you know, I'm tired of talking about this. We need to talk about something else. Why? Because you can't solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It went 25 years, 30 years or something like that. They knew that this landfill was closing and they didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing.
So
My double negative
behind.
for the day.
We're behind, but we're not. There are other municipalities in the state of Massachusetts who have had pay-as-you-throw, right? They stop the pay-as-you-throw program and go to the carts. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like we had the carts first, and now we're going to a pay-as-you-throw program where other towns do the opposite.
Yes.
It's all a shell game. It's a shell game to get more money. All these grants, okay? We could build a new school. We're going to get a grant, right? And Fall River only has to kick in $1 million. So we're going to get a $2 million grant, and all we got to do is kick in $1 million. Why do they keep wanting us to spend all this money? Are they really spending the grant money on what it needs to be spent on?
I mean, one of the things we talked about yesterday was how much money they could actually save by composting, and you wouldn't have
just reducing,
right? And what did Derek say? It was $120 a ton to rid of
yard waste. Yeah.
So $120 a ton to rid of yard waste. That's only half.
Not a ton. It's like a truckload.
A truckload. Okay. So you have $60 a ton or $65 depending on the month for waste, and $40 to $35 or so for recycling. So literally, you can combine those two together, and it's still not as much as the yard waste.
Right.
So why are we not looking to save on that end? Again, I mean, people always they say they want specifics. Well, this is a very specific way to save on money, you know? So why are we not doing that? Why are we not making efforts, which is something we can do very, very easily? Another
reason the IRS could be there, tax versus fee.
I'd love for them to have that discussion.
I will guarantee you that's the discussion that's being had.
Nikki and I should get together and open our own TerraCycle center in the river.
Yes.
Girl power.
I am so down. Ange is like my recycle soulmate.
There you go.
She is. She truly is. She's that person.
Yeah. Angie's a very inspirational individual for me personally. So, yeah, I agree. Agreed.
Look at us singing praises of our Ange.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Norbert Farias, another inspirational individual, had to postpone his cleanup for Sunday because of the inclement weather. So he pushed it to the 19th or the 18th. I'm gonna have to double check that. Let me see if I can double check it. Change the time of his event.
All because of Joaquin.
Oh yeah?
The hurricane.
Yeah, I know.
Which right now is at a Cat 4.
Whoa. Yeah, 18th.
In the Bahamas.
So October 18th, it's a Sunday, 9 a.m., bottom of Durfee Street, weather permitting. We're going to have a cleanup. I will be there. I will go to every single cleanup that Norbert wants to.
Norbert is like a cleanup king.
He and I see how you and Angie have the recycling thing. Me and Norbert have a passion for the cleanup. As a matter of fact, they were talking about cleaning up the city and cutting weeds on WSAR, and I called in real quick because I wanted to, I got all amped up and I wanted to call in and talk about it. And they're like, "You're a candidate, you can't call in." I'm like, "No," and then they hung up the phone. But it was kind of funny. It was actually kind of a funny conversation. But if you're a candidate, they have their own rules. It's a WSAR rule more than it is anything else, in my opinion. But it is what it is. I called in I wanted to talk about Norbert's cleanup too, but
you need to get one of those voice changers.
That would be deceptive, wouldn't it?
Not really. If you're trying to get a point across.
Not as deceptive as bringing soup to a tower, but yeah, I understand. I get what you're saying.
Listen, I'm still going to laugh at that. I have to. You know that I'm going to laugh at that.
What?
The soup. I have to. That's just it. It is funny. I know why, but I still can chuckle, right? We can still laugh.
Chuckle away, my friend.
Yes. Who mentioned the big, gigantic chow mein sandwich? Did you mention a big, gigantic?
Yeah, there's going to be a humongous chow mein sandwich party held by none other than Leo Pelletier.
You know what's crazy is chow mein is one of my favorite damn things.
I had chow mein yesterday.
Did you?
Strained? I love it.
Or do you like it with all the stuff?
I like it with all the stuff.
I don't. Mrs. Wong, who has the
I'm gonna be honest with you. It was the worst
place.
It was the worst chow mein I've ever had.
Really?
It was awful.
Did you make it yourself?
No, of course not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
What?
We
What?
won't discuss where it came from.
Nah. There's no point in that. But it was not good. The egg roll wasn't bad, but the chow mein was hideous.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a thing for Chinese food in this city.
I love it.
Me too.
Oh, technically it wasn't in Fall River, so
No.
just to let anybody know. It was out of town.
I think that's one of the most underutilized things Fall River has is our food. I think we have, and maybe, I don't know if it's just because I live here, but we have the most amazing food ever.
Oddly enough, we have an increase in violent crime in Fall River, which, remember back when Flanagan was talking about how crime, I know, I had to switch it around because we have great food, but we also have violent crime increases in Fall River as well.
I didn't even know we were swapping.
Did you see that?
No, but I can see it.
We do have tremendous. You know what? I'm going back to Nikki's conversation. We have tremendous food. We do.
Well, because it's a way we could bring in. They keep talking about tourism.
Tourism.
That's one of the big things is our food, and it's so not right.
The restaurant industry will keep you hanging around for a little while when you make it here, but it's not the reason that people are going to come for tourist, attractions. There's got to be more. You got to have something.
Oh, I think we could have a food festival and it would bring people.
Tourism is a geographical thing as well. It's not just based on the elements inside the city, but also the geographic location, like Miami, for example. You know what I mean? Like they have a geographic advantage, Florida in general, over most other tourist attractions. Especially the ones up north. So we have to decide, is tourism going to be the industry that we bank our quote economic development off of? I personally don't think that's the best idea.
You can't bank anything on one particular idea.
But that's what you keep on hearing.
It should be a bunch of different ideas. Just a food festival, even if we just had a food festival, even if nobody from outside of Fall River came in, just local,
right?
That would be fabulous.
I think it would be.
I'd love to see some kind of a cooking contest, of food tasting contest
out in the Midwest.
Fabulous.
Out in the Midwest, they have chili cook-offs and things like that.
Yeah, like come on, Portuguese steak cook-off.
Yeah, Mozambique cook-off. I would probably get involved in that myself.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
But
we're biased. We're biased. We're Fall Riverites. That's what we do. I got to get to this, man. I'm reading this thing. I got to get to it. So, overall, violent crime rose last year in Fall River, with statistics released this week by the FBI showing almost a 10% increase from the year before. Remember all that conversation we were having last year with William Flanagan, going back and forth about how crime is down. We're like, what city do you live in, William?
Where are you from?
What are you talking about?
Yes.
Now we're starting to see some of this. The results is, I remember last year, crazy as it sounds, I'm right near Bedford Street. I would hear in a fire truck or a police car every single morning. As a matter of fact, a lot of this spurred off the Scanner Talk, the Fall River Scanner Talk Facebook page. And I remember somebody from the government, I'm not exactly sure who it was, but there was a word out that they were going to try and shut that page down because it might stop the police operations and things like that. But no. It actually, I think it's helped people stay more alert. So I kind of appreciate what they do over there on Scanner Talk, to be quite honest with you.
I do too. I think if something is going on, usually it's actually one of the first places I go.
Right.
I don't like the Facebook setup, how you have to scroll if you want to find something sometimes.
Dan Rigo, chairman of the Public Safety Committee, said the statistics show the need to sufficiently fund the Fall River Police Department, which has 223 police officers in 2014. By comparison, New Bedford had 257. New Bedford, I believe, has about 12,000 more in population. There's nothing more important than properly funding our police department to a level that is sufficient for a community of our size. So he wants to increase the police presence in Fall River to decrease the crime. There was a 10% increase in crime from the year before. Was there a decrease in police officers among that span within a year?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay.
There might have been, but I don't believe so. I think the only change I don't think there were any changes.
Well, they decided to use New Bedford as a comparison instead of using the previous year or previous police staffing numbers to do a comparison to say more police officers will, decrease crime. I think a lot of people take that as a, automatic, you know what I mean? Like they take it as an automatic thought that, oh, more police, less crime. I think that there's a lot of statistics out there that have been thrown out there that know that, that's really more of a case by case basis. More police in Fall River is not going to automatically equal less crime, but we don't know. I mean, we're really, we need that comparison. We need to know what happened in 2013, staffing levels and things like that.
New Bedford has more of a population than Fall River does.
I said that, about 12,000 more people or so.
So when you're talking about maybe 20 police offices, you know what I mean, for another 20,000 people, it kind of averages itself out when you think about it like that, We could, every municipality could always use more police officers. Who the hell wants to say, yeah, we could just deal without those police officers? Of course we want to have them more on the street, the safer we believe it's going to be. But
it really is a comfort thing for some people to just say, hey, we have, a police around the corner from here and things like that. Like peace of mind goes a long way with people, they might not see the statistics in it, though they might not care about what the statistics say. They just know that they have a cop out there and they feel comfortable with that.
I would like to see, because we have our housing police, has the crime in housing gone down due to the housing police presence?
Right.
That's what I would like to see. You know what I'm saying?
We got a text message from I'm with you. We got a text message from Jenna. Said, I recently said that I've heard sirens literally every 2 hours last night. It's crazy. Repeat that, please. Repeat that.
I don't remember what I said.
You said something about housing and crime.
I said I would like to see the statistics.
Right.
Since putting the housing police in housing, if crime has gone down. That
would actually be a really great
housing crime.
In my opinion, that would be a great way to, as a measuring tool, to say, hey, if we increase this, we increase that, or decrease that.
Or has it worked at all? And if it's not working, why isn't it working?
Because you're about to make a big expenditure by, increasing this. And if you don't see the results in that, then again, it's really more about, it can end up being peace of mind and just saying, look, I'm glad that I have my cops out there. That's what people say. I heard somebody say to me that they don't care if it was a $50 per unit fee. They're willing to pay it to keep the cops out there. I've literally, someone said that to me.
Well, that might be one thing if the police were actually getting paid a large amount of money, or we had more, or there's not much difference from years past.
No.
So, but when you look at the administration, that's ballooned.
Right.
So let's not.
Right. Has our efficiency, you know what I mean?
It's all well and good for somebody to say, I'll pay $50 for trash. But out of that $50 that you'd be willing to pay for trash, our elected officials are only going to put $2 toward public safety. The rest they'll put into their own, either the loan orders, it'll be free cash to go for loan orders, clothing allotments, raises, because as much as everybody says, we didn't get a raise. No, but your FY15 clothing allotment was for $700. FY16, it's $800.
See, Dan Rigo's not wrong in my opinion. I think that, we could use a couple more of this and a couple more of that for the police department, fire department, all our public safety could use a little bit more. I do agree on some level with a lot of what people say about public safety. However, I think what people disagree on is the methods and what we can use to get that public safety number up. The only way that the government and the city council has consistently decided to go about this is by raising your taxes and your fees. That's all they want to do.
I would say they could have saved the $650,000 that they did spend on yard waste carts, and they probably could have put a couple of officers on the street or a couple of firemen.
Well, you can't bond for that. You can't. They bonded.
But you can add it to your budget. They borrowed. We're going to borrow and pay for that money for forever. Right. So might as well just throw it in our budget. And
well, if we would have went with the thing is, the whole thing is that the sanitation department was pulling from the general fund, so technically it was pulling from public safety, right? So no.
No, technically it's just pulling from the general fund.
Right.
If you have X amount of dollars in the general fund, that's up to you to decide where that money gets spent.
Mm-hmm.
That's why our elected officials wanted the trash fee. They took out line items. There is no line item on any department for trash disposal.
Right. I get that.
So until there is, I don't want to hear how paying for trash is going to save our public safety officers.
They keep on, what I'm saying is they keep on saying that, right?
I know.
Right. So you had Joe Camara say that to Jordan, or when he had his public, when he had his input, right? So, we had to pull from the general fund, and which ultimately translates to, police and fire. That's what they say.
But the general fund's not just for safety officers. The general fund is for the city to run appropriately.
Right. I get that. I know that. I get it. I know that. I know. But I'm saying what they say. I'm just telling you what they say. That's all. So what I'm saying is their only method of trying to justify more police, more fire, whatever it is, they can't act as though we can't bond for it necessarily. We can't just say this loan order is for this. You can't do that. We can't increase public safety with bonding. Remember, you can't do that. Remember,
right, but you can
remember RBT saying that, and they were kind of getting laughed off on that. So instead of raising everyone's fees and taxes, they don't look at their expenses.
Right.
They don't look at what they're doing with their money in order to make things work more efficiently and therefore free up money to increase their public safety. If the government was 100% efficient and running their operations without a lot of waste or any waste at all, and we were still short, then they could possibly justify a raise and increase. But they haven't done that. So it's absurd for them to just say, oh, this is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. Because we know that the efficiency of the government, especially local government, is non-existent right now. We good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right.
If I talk, you stop me. If I don't talk, you ask me if I'm good. I don't know what you want.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nikki. So sorry, Nikki.
What do you want from me?
Oh, I just wanted to throw out there. I didn't mean to stop you. Awkward silence for the moment.
It's not awkward.
It's silence for the moment. But no. So you have Dan, and then of course at the end of not the end of it, but in the middle of this article, Police Chief Dan Racine could not be reached for comment on the statistics.
Shocker.
I'm doing a shocker right now. That's a shocker.
That's not a shocker.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well,
meanwhile,
now that's not. See.
Meanwhile, I'm stopping you. Meanwhile, Mitch LeBret, a former police officer and current criminal justice professor at Bridgewater State University, said the annual reports may provide a baseline to identify some trends, but he cautioned against giving these statistics too much weight. And he's not wrong. But when we see statistics go too far down, then all of a sudden it's, we're doing a great job. When the statistics show an increase, it's this person cannot be reached for comment. Right?
Right.
There you go. It's not a perfect instrument for understanding the nuances of crime in any community. I don't think there is a perfect instrument that can, quantify any of this stuff. According to the statistics, Fall River in 2014 was a more violent city than Brockton, though that city had 12 more murders last year. So, it's statistical. They always have a way of being skewed, of being inaccurate with people. So, God.
Fall River police officers investigated 80 reported rapes. 80 reported rapes.
221 robberies. And virtual identical to the 73. So
reported rapes and 225 robberies in 2013.
So we have some level, but we don't have the level of staffing. I think the staffing stayed the same, didn't it? Between 13 and 14. Mm-hmm. So you had a 10% increase with the same amount.
I actually want to say that we had some increase in officers between 13 and 14.
The large increase was in aggravated assaults. 2014 police responded to 734 reports of aggravated assault, where in 2013 it was 646. Aggravated assaults accounted for 70% of violent crime last year in Fall River, which is comparable to the national average of 64%. So we actually are 6 points above the national average for violent crime, the aggravated assaults.
Huh. LeBret said he believes the spike in aggravated assaults is most likely an anomaly. It's an anomaly, people.
In other crime categories, Fall River Police Department received few reports of property crimes, burglaries, and motor thefts, while seeing a slight increases in larceny.
See, that when I hear that, right, in other crimes, they say like less car robberies. All it takes is go on the Fall River Scanner page and read, and you'll see people posting, my car was robbed last night. My car was robbed last night. I just don't think that things are reported the way that they once were.
I got some questions real quick. But yeah, I understand. I get what you're saying. I want to be able to finish this with you. Oh my goodness gracious. In other categories, let's see. Prepared statement. Here we go. Mayor Sam Sutter, who took office in December 2014, says, I am encouraged by the declining robberies. So he didn't want to address the 10% increase in violent crime. He wanted to focus on the rapes.
Yeah.
I am certain that gun violence is significantly down from its all-time high, but we have much work to do, and that is why it's essential to maintain police staffing where it is.
I can't. I could still picture him sitting there telling us that we don't know anything. So you know what I mean?
Yes.
That'll always be ingrained in my brain.
I have Jordan. Why do some people get to tell others how to spend their money rather than force people to spend more for public safety? Why don't people voluntarily give more if it's such a needed thing? That a person can spend $50 a month on trash, why do they get to force family?
I agree with you. And you know what, the video that I had posted of Flanagan and Rigo's exchange about that, actually Flanagan states that it was a contribution.
Right.
You know, he believes that people of Fall River will make that contribution to see safety personnel on the streets.
Why? Speaking of voluntarily, how come they don't take in? I mean, I've seen communities do community policing and things like that. I mean, I've seen them invest in that and save some costs that way.
Could you imagine the type of individual that would go to volunteer to be a police officer? Could you imagine those housing people? Those people who live in housing would go, and I don't think they want that very much.
No, probably not.
We wouldn't want those nasty people in housing to better themselves now, would we?
Someone else mentioned me. The decline is because you now have to file your own police report online.
That's what I was getting at before.
Yep. Who the hell wants to do that?
He's right though. I've read people have gotten into accidents,
right? Like
just little fender benders, and the police are like, sorry, you got to come in and fill out a report. People are like, what the hell? Like, now I was taught you get into an accident, you don't even move the car.
Man.
You keep the car where it's at. Obviously, that's not what you do anymore unless it's a bad accident, but
man.
Horrible, huh?
So it's not really necessarily anything that anyone's done. They just depend it all on staffing.
Yes.
They put it all on staffing. Staffing.
And then if you recall that there was that whole debacle with the police station where they were overcharging for reports.
Yep. Report. Oh.
So maybe that's why they want people to go fill out their own reports. Hot damn. See?
That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly why my brain is constantly going.
We have a distrust of the government, really. You know, we don't trust the government in a lot of aspects, and we keep on being proven right every time. You know? We continually kept saying about how, you know, there were cahoots between city councilors and mayors. There was I think that Pat Casey particularly has had a very, close relationship with all.
A very buggy situation.
Well, a very buggy, I guess you want to say that. But basically, we always had the impression that the mayor, Flanagan, particularly with Pat Casey and a couple other city councilors, Paul DeSilva as well, he had them in their pocket. You know what I mean? And this distrust of the government permeates not just in the sanitation department, not just with the expense, the efficiency of our government, or the agenda to raise taxes and raise fees on even more people, but also now we're starting to see a little bit of a bond here between city attorney and former mayor Will Flanagan, and how he has now retained the services of Pat Casey.
No, you mean Pat Casey has retained the
Oh
services.
yeah. I said it
William
backwards.
Flanagan.
I did say it backwards. Was retained by Pat Casey, I should say.
There you go. Yeah.
So we have this situation now where we said over and over and over again how Pat Casey and Will Flanagan always had this thing. This guy named Jay Romalo had the cops at his house just because he was posting memes of Pat Casey.
Well, I don't even think it was of Pat Casey. It just had her name written there.
Yeah.
It wasn't even her herself.
Right.
It was Ron Jeremy, actually.
Right.
So
it was all ridiculous, right?
Yes.
But it just gave the impression we don't trust the government as it is. But when you see a police officer knocking on your door,
or 4 detectives.
Right. It was actually detectives. I remember getting calls from Jay. Jay was like, dude, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I said, dude, just stand your ground. They have no rights to even be there at your door right now. So don't even worry about it. And nothing happened. It turned out to be nothing. But now we get to see that now that Pat Casey's in a bind with this whole car incident, the first person she decides to hire as her lawyer is none other than...
I know. And you know what? When I read that, I was just like, Pat, you do see that Fall River didn't win any of its cases, right? You do see that we lost a lot of money for lawsuits, right? So why would you go and get Flanagan? The lady's name was spelt wrong.
I have not met too many people. I know, right? That's hilarious. I have not met too many people like Pat. And as honorable and benevolent, Flanagan said. As a citizen, I can vouch for her character.
I can't. Notice he said as a citizen.
I like that.
As a citizen. As a citizen. He did not say as former mayor. He said as a citizen.
I know.
What the hell has she done as a citizen?
The man, you got to give him a little bit of credit, right?
I don't give him any credit.
I know. But that's funny. I'm sorry. Casey, a longtime friend of Langdon, confirmed that she's been contacted by the state police. However, on Flanagan's advice, said she refused to be interviewed.
No, you don't say.
I love it. I have not even read this article. I just pulled it up. This is great.
I read it last night. So
every single time I read something from William Flanagan, right? I always end up laughing.
It's comical
because he's just like insult your intelligence all day long.
He don't even care.
Love it. Gotta love it. Got to love it.
You didn't even read the rest of the article.
You want me to read this whole thing?
I mean, you can't just mid-article.
Oh, I was getting comments. And I wanted to take a look. I'm sorry. I got you. Sorry, Daniel. We'll have to read the rest of this article first so I can comment.
Talk about it. You halfway through it.
I was going to see what Danielle was saying. I just want to see what Danielle was saying real quick. She's also taking him down with her. Yeah, exactly. I noticed that too. She saved the dog. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So we got this. I would certainly love to. Oh, what was this? Let me see. Yeah, I would certainly love to and will as soon as I'm in a position to. And my lawyer says I can, Casey.
Yeah, Flanagan. Till Flanagan tells her she can speak.
Do you know what happened when Flanagan didn't speak in his own investigation? He was deemed not credible, Pat. She probably didn't even pay attention to any of that.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, poor Pat. Like, I want to go tell her, hey, Flanagan's not a good lawyer, right?
The deceased woman's son, Russell Moore of Boise, Idaho, is currently residing in his late mother's Warwick, Rhode Island home. Moore filed the small claims lawsuit in Fall River District Court seeking $7,150 in court costs for the value of his mother's gray 2008 Volkswagen Beetle, currently registered in Casey's name. Moore said he is also seeking reimbursement of legal fees he incurred for trying to recoup the car and other property that Casey took from his mother's home. Casey has since returned some of those items. In a separate civil suit, Moore is also seeking the value of a 1995 Dodge van that his mother owned and he alleges Casey also took, transferred title to herself, and then later sold. She has denied Moore's claims and said the vehicles were gifts from Langdon. Moore is his mother's only heir, and the administrator of her estate left no will upon her death in January.
That's so crazy.
Yep.
It's just so crazy to me. And then you go on in the article and it discusses her friendship a little bit with the woman's mother. It says she'd been a friend of Moore's mother for 5 years and helped the disabled 77-year-old Langdon until her death. You go down a little bit, and it talks about after a public records request submitted by the Herald News in late August for documentation relating to Langdon's vehicles, the RMV provided several documents, including 2 forms from the Massachusetts Department of Revenue with signatures by Langdon and Casey that indicates the vehicles were a gift and exempted her from paying sales tax on each vehicle. On both forms, Langdon's signature appeared to be misspelled.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Both.
Here we go.
Both. I can't even believe that.
Unbelievable.
And I actually, if I'm not mistaken, the other article, it showed the name the way it was spelled, and it sounded like it was spelled by just saying it with our Fall River accent. Like it would be Langdon. And that's how it was spelled with our Fall River accent.
I want to see that. I want to. Hey, you know what? That's public document. I want to see that signature.
I'm telling you,
man. Innocent people don't usually have to hide behind an attorney and refuse to talk with detectives of the state police. How can anyone in Fall River look at her and not feel a loss of trust and not be disappointed in her representing of the city? Boom. Thank you, Moore. I'm not saying, I don't think Moore, I don't know who this guy Moore is, but that sentence right there is exactly the first thing that I thought. I said, these are uncredible people supporting each other, you know, doing what looks to be a very shady situation, regardless of one way or the other. It just looks shady all the way around. You know what I mean? So, and now the mention of the signatures, come on.
You know what? Let's be honest. Man. It doesn't look shady. We know what happened. We know what happened, right? How many times you're like, oh, all right, I'm going to sign your name on this document, okay?
Oh, man. Hey, Jordan Boom. Goes, she misspelled Volkswagen as well.
Oh, that's what it was. It was, and thank you so much, Jordan, because I remember when I saw it, it was literally,
oh my God.
I wish we need to find the article where it was spelt, the way it was spelt, because it was spelt the way we would pronounce it with our thick Fall River accent. That's what it was spelt like.
Oh man. All right. So I'm going to have to look for this mixed spelling of Volkswagen, but
well, all you do is
this headline.
And
I want this headline. I'm just going to run off this headline real quick because we kind of pulled up some articles here. City falls short of net school spending. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, that's a long conversation.
Actually, this is one that I'm going to try to get to. The rally for Government Center draws awareness to domestic violence. There's going to be a domestic violence awareness rally at the Fall River City Government Center. So I think it's on the 20th.
Oh, because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Right. So they're going to do something like that over there. I want to check it out myself. All right, so let's get back to this. This is hilarious. So she misspelled.
Well, somebody misspelled. We allegedly she misspelled
her last name and
the word Volkswagen. Not her last name, but the lady's last name, Langdon, or whoever signed it didn't sign it properly. However, by looking at it, it sounds as if it was spelled in the way that we Fall River residents would say the word with our accents.
Gotcha.
Did you read that? I wrote you a little note.
I saw that.
Very nice, isn't it?
Yes.
I thought so.
You're a peach, Nikki.
I am a Fall River peach.
Yes, exactly. Exactly that. Let's see here. Patricia Casey? No, Pat Casey.
Pat Casey. Fall River City Council. That's all I would put in a Volkswagen and it would come up. You did.
That's exactly what I wrote.
Accused of taking cars. Look in the article.
Hey, guess what?
What?
I spelled Volkswagen wrong. Boom. I did. I put an O-N at the end instead of E-N. Great. Now let's see this.
It's in that one. Yeah.
Let's go to that one. And that was the old.
That's the one I think that was only 19 hours ago.
Okay.
It's the one that just came out.
Joe's probably laughing because I spelled Volkswagen wrong. like the tails wagging in her shop.
Oh, maybe that's awesome, Volkswagen.
The thing with crime, okay, this is older. The thing with the crime situation is that there are less police officers, there are less officers responding to crime. This is making the numbers go down. Flanagan makes things disappear. Why wouldn't she call him? That's funny. Let's see. Pat Casey, what's this about? Let's get the.
We have to see where it's going to say how she spelt Volkswagen, or whoever spelt Volkswagen. So please be patient. We're just looking through the article.
Yeah, you know, the thing
I'm
about
not sure why
Fall
it's
River,
open in 15 times.
Yeah, Fall River's website, so Fall River Herald News website, sometimes it's
full of ads.
Yeah, it loads up so much, man. It's crazy. But anyway, at any rate, we have increased crime in elderly people taking people's Volkswagens in Fall River. It's kind of scary at this point.
Well, you know, if it is true that she did that, it's kind of gross that she would do that.
Yeah.
It's just gross, you know?
Yes, absolutely. What stands out, I think, is a person my mother trusted as a friend betrayed that trust. Say what you will about me, the one thing I can do for my mother is make sure that the things that were taken from her death are returned. We're all quiet over here as we read. Hilarious. Nikki's all into it. I'm gonna talk for a minute about just in general. Pat Casey during the forum was very focused on building a beach in Fall River. We had a lot of people talking about how public safety is a problem, school spending is a problem, crime is a problem, drugs is a problem in Fall River, and she was pretty heavily focused on a beach in Fall River. So kind of shows you where everybody is as far as that goes. You also have David Mead. He's been sending me text messages after text message after text message about about the Capitol Theater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, David Mead wants the Capitol Theater. He wants the Capitol Theater. My goodness gracious, does he want the Capitol Theater badly? I got about at least 25 to 30 messages over the past 2 weeks from him just focusing on that. So I will just say this. There are other priorities in Fall River that we really have to care about beyond beaches and Capitol Theater. And I brought up David Mead in comparison to Pat Casey to kind of show the similarities there, because the focus on what they want and the focus on what maybe the city might need to thrive are two different things. I'm not an agenda-driven individual. I think my agendas are related to trying to bettering the city, not just getting fixated on one item that I want more than anything else. So, like, for example, I've mentioned that I would love to see the school have a university or something to that nature, or at least a high-level college that people can earn a bachelor's degree and things like that in this city, right? I'm not going to get overly fixated on it above, something that could be more important to a lot of people. So, and I'm hoping that other people start thinking that way. Because I'm still on the outside looking in. There's a lot of people that look like they're going to get it, and I hope that they keep that in mind, that they don't get too fixated on what they want and more about what we need. So, so did you read anything interesting in this article, my friend?
I need to scroll. Actually, it did. In this article, it notes that Casey's attorney is James Clarkin.
Oh, it sounds familiar.
It sounds very familiar to me, so I'm not sure why it sounds familiar at this moment. I would have to compare it with notes, but that name.
All right.
Is very familiar, and now her lawyer is Will Flanagan.
So I got you here. Buddy. Casey produced 2 notes, which she contends proves Langdon wanted her to have the vehicles. One is undated, with the note beginning, "Happy birthday, Grill," which is supposed to be girl, but Grill is GRIL, and indicates Casey received the note from her November 3rd birthday. November 3rd, oddly enough. The second document is dated January 1st, 2015, indicating the 2008 Volkswagen is a gift to Casey from Langdon. On the note, the vehicle is spelled incorrectly as Volkswagen, which is WAGGEN at the end. A detail more found odd because his mother owned Volkswagens all her life. RMV supplied 2 forms of the Massachusetts Department of Revenue with signatures that indicate the vehicles were a gift and exempted her from paying sales tax on each vehicle. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Keep going.
The DOR affidavit for the van dated November 1st, 2014. The document for the Volkswagen is dated January 1st, 2015. Casey said she doesn't recall signing the DOR documents. The Herald News forwarded the documents to Moore, who claims the signatures are not his mother's, and notes that the affidavit for the van, the signature that identifies his mother as the donor of the van, oh, there it is, of the van, misspells his mother's name as Langlin, Langlon.
And it should be DON.
Yikes.
So if they have a handwriting expert come in and they can identify it as Casey's handwriting.
How about a common sense expert that says that a person's not going to spell Volkswagen and their name wrong?
Well, one document I could say, well, maybe it's just the way somebody writes their signature. You know, some people have messy handwriting. However, 2 documents where the name is spelt wrong but spelt the same way is a little odd.
Pat Casey was also gifted a house at one point in the past. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah,
she was gifted a house from another friend who was dying.
From another friend. Yep.
She got a lot of friends.
Well,
wonder if they were all on the same fistball team.
Here's the thing: if you this is the thing about government, and actually, it's kind of odd that not odd, but it's not wild to me that Flanagan is now her lawyer, because it's about reinforcement, right? When we have a child, if you have a child and that child can cry and get what they want by crying, then what are they going to do the next time they want something?
Get slapped. No, I'm kidding.
They're going to cry again, right? Yeah. They're going to cry again. I like how you said that when we're in domestic violence month, by the way, Nikki. Hey, listen. So they're going to cry again, and that's because the parent reinforced that child, correct? So if a criminal crook politician is robbing somebody and they get reinforced by not being held accountable, then what are they going to do again? They're going to do almost the same exact situation all over again. They don't care. What the hell do they care? They're not being held accountable. They can just literally get away with what they want. Exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if all this stuff turns out to be guilty because we don't hold people accountable. Same thing like with right now, like when in the election, right? You got the same group of characters doing the same group of, character things all over again. And what are we doing? We're like reinforcing them. Oh, get them back in office. Get them back in office. Okay. What do you expect them to do now in office? They're going to do the same exact behavior that they did before because you reinforced it by letting them get back in, by praising them. Yep. So it's the same exact thing. So I don't see why anyone would be surprised that the city is in what they want to call a decline, because the city, the people living in the city aren't doing much, at least in the political aspect, to change it. Bottom line.
All
right. So anyway, let me search for Pat Casey and home. This is going to be funny to me.
I didn't know that she was also gifted a house. When was she gifted a house? Do we know?
We're going to find out.
I mean, aside from the article.
Pat Casey.
PatCaseyMusic.com.
There's a musician out there called Pat Casey. In case anybody wants to know.
And it's literally www.patcasey, spelled the same way.com.
Just in case anyone's curious.
PatCaseyMusic.com, excuse me.
Just in case anyone's curious. I'm not seeing anything, so I'm not going to be able to go in too far and deep to it. Maybe you can do something with your magical research skills there, Nikki, down the road someday. But apparently, she was gifted a house decades ago, he says. Decades ago.
That's insane. If somebody is gifted that many things, it's questionable.
You start to wonder, right? You start to wonder.
Now I have such a vivid imagination that she's like that nurse, that nurse that goes around intentionally killing people so she could take their stuff. Like, is that the type of thing we're talking about? Obviously not. This is just my imagination.
It is what it is. I remember a current candidate came up to me in the beginning, way in the beginning, and said to me, "Hey, I heard that Pat Casey is driving around with an unregistered car." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I think he wanted me to like disseminate that information among people, but I didn't do that. I didn't have to. I mean, all this car stuff and all this other stuff, it all makes its way to the light eventually. down the road. It's just a matter of how we're going to respond to it. Are we going to hold people accountable or are we not? That's really what it's about. And that's why we keep on talking about accountability and things like that. Jordan also told me that there is a skateboarder named Pat Casey as well. So that name is getting around. Maybe that's what people have been voting for all this time, musicians and skateboarders, not realizing that they're voting for a rubber stamp the entire time in city council. What do you think? I'll let you decide.
I think she shouldn't be a city councilor. That's all. I wouldn't vote for her to get reelected.
You may get your way on that one this year. Yeah, that might happen.
I would hope that, you know, like we talk about voting people in and not voting or whatever. I would hope that certain individuals who are sitting city councilors would say, you know something, this just isn't for me anymore. Fall River is not going into a positive direction. I've sat here for 20 years and it still looks the same. That's hilarious. Very distracting as well, but it is great. Condralee is awesome. Condralee. Sorry, guys. There is a photo posted that's just hilarious. Rothstein.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man.
Everybody, thank you for listening. I think this was our more, what would you say, most listenable one. We've had most interaction. We had more interaction on this one. Most listenable. I don't know what the word is. We're trying to we create words every time we do this show. Listening. But no, I appreciate the interactivity that's going on here. Nice. You like that? And I think we're getting back to the old show that we had in the past. So I'm kind of excited about it. I'm happy about it. And we'll be back next week. We will be back next week on Thursday at 9 o'clock and Friday at 9 o'clock. And hopefully we'll have Derek Morgado with us at this time. Take care, everybody. Have a great night and day. Okay, go.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.